Hello, I am Brian Covington, and you're watching the Brian Covington Sports Show in the morning. Today we have a very special insight from you from Coach Robe Show and the UL baseball team. UL baseball has a record of 29 and 15 right now, and they are on a 7-game winning streak. Today we will find out what's the motivation behind their winning, and also a little background history on Coach Robe Show. So let's get to it. Okay, we're here with Coach Robe Show. Coach, you're having a great season this year. So, how long have you been coaching?
Well, this is my 22nd season here at the university, and I've spent 7 years at McNeese University, so 29 total years so far.
29 total years, Coach. That's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
I'm pretty sure that you had a lot of tasks over the course of your career. Correct?
Well, we have a lot of things to do when we coach. It's not just a baseball game. I mean, we have to sell the wall signs. We have to, take care of the players, make sure they're in school. We got to raise money, so there's a fundraising side to this job also. It's not just coaching baseball.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It comes with a lot. So, what are a few things that motivated you along the course of your career?
Well, what happened was I actually transferred from McNeese as a player to here, and because we were in the same conference, USL and McNeese at the time, I had to sit out a year here. But I was old. I was coming into my senior year here, so I got redshirted as a senior. Most of the time, you get redshirted as a freshman, but I got redshirted as a senior. So what they did was back then you could have a JV baseball team. So the coaches called me in and said, since you're so old and you're redshirting for a year, we want you to coach the JV team. So what they would do is they would give me 2 school vans, the equipment, and then about 12 to 15 younger players. And what I would do is I would go play the high schools. So I would take them and we'd go play Lafayette High, Como, Northside, the local high schools around here. And that's when I finally kind of fell, I guess, into love with coaching.
Yes.
I'd been a player all the way through and had previously been coached, but I'd never really coached. And this gave me a different view of it, of taking that JV team and coaching them, and I really liked it. We had a very good year, and then the next year I went on to play my senior year here, and then went out to coach in the Summer Collegiate League and the Valley League. And while I was there, they fired the head coach at McNeese State University. I had played there prior to coming to play at USL, so the AD called me there, and I went back I was only 24 though. I just kind of gotten out of school, so I took over at McNeese at 24, spent 7.5 years there, and then came take over here in '94, which puts me going into next year, I think my 22nd season here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's a great amount of time and a great amount of experience. Over the course of your career, what do you feel has been the hardest task in instilling your student athletes?
Well, I think the 2 biggest things, one is getting a baseball player off of results, because their whole life they grow up looking at a stat sheet on what their batting average is. Pitchers grow up looking at what their ERA is, and getting them to really get off results. That's the big thing, I think, number one. Number 2 is to get them to become part of a team. To get somebody to work while they wait, because this sport it takes time. There's an old rule that says you've got to put in about 10,000 hours before you can become an expert at what you do, and yet the NCAA only allows us 20 hours a week with a player. Well, he doesn't even put in. It would take us 10 years to get to that under those rules. So players have to learn how to work while they wait, and I think those are the 2 biggest things. And even in our personal life, it's the same thing. People stop working if they're not playing. People stop working if they're not moving up the corporate ladder, and that's what does a lot of people in, is that they stop working instead of working while they wait, so that when the opportunity opens, they're prepared and they're better off than they once were. So I think those are the 2 toughest teachers that you have, is get them on off results and getting them to be able to work while they play, and then play as part of a team, because team chemistry can make a good team great, or it can make a great team just good. And so to have good team chemistry, you got to be able to get off results, because if you stay on results, the hitter fails 70% of the time. So 70% of the time he's going to be down. and it's too big of an up and down flow to try to be good at what you're doing. You have to be able to, I think, give up and get off the results. And when you can do that and then play as part of a team, then I think you got team chemistry. When you got that and a selfless team that's not selfish, then I think you can have a good baseball team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coach, over the course of a season, you play a lot of games, a lot of midweek games, a lot of weekend series. How do you motivate your team day in and day out to go out and compete in every one of them games?
Well, I think the big thing, the difference maker in motivation is that one, you've got to make sure that they fully understand that what they're doing here is just baseball. But being able to stay focused, all of that, handling fear, handling failure. My biggest thing is for them to understand that right now it's all just presenting itself as a game of baseball. But what you're gaining out of it, once you finish playing baseball, now I think you're going to be ready to compete in corporate America, because you're gonna go through all of this again. It just won't be baseball. Too many guys that don't understand that and think it's just baseball, then they won't be as motivated, because they're not going to be able to use this for the rest of their life. You know what I'm saying? If somebody told you, hey, take this, it's only good for 6 months. Well, it's hard to stay motivated, because you're going to want to throw it away after 6 months. What they're gaining out of this, they're not going to throw away. I mean, they're going to have to use it again. And I think that's the difference, because to me, when you get two equal teams together, they've got the same bat, Louisville Slugger, the same shoes, then everything becomes equal. To me, the difference maker is motivation.
Yes, sir. Coach, you have a very unique coaching style. How much of a factor do you feel that motivation play into your coaching style?
Well, I think it's huge. I think you need leaders as coaches. I think you need men that are going to be good to their wives. It's hard to have a guy fool around his wife or doing crazy stuff at night and coming here and expecting our players to do what's right. I think it starts with us. I don't think a player can ever get character unless the coach is willing to teach it, model it. And so that's what I demand out of my coaches, is that they're going to have to teach leadership, and they're going to have to model it, because if not, then there's no way our players are going to get it. We get that from who's mentoring us. And so I've always tried to make sure, number one, I hire good people, and then people that care about the player, not just care about the baseball player, but you got to care about the player too. And then you want diversity in your staff. You might have one that's a holler and a screamer. You might have one that's calm and quiet. You don't want to all be the same, because then it becomes very tough for the players. And then you want your staff to venture out, because every player is not going to just get close to the head coach. Every player is not going to get close to maybe the hitting coach. But if you've got four coaches on your staff, you got a better chance to have 35 guys get close to somebody. And I think that's what's important. Every player gets closer to one coach than the other coach, and that's okay. That's what I want the coaches to do, is to diversify out and make sure that every player at least can come to a coach. You know what I'm saying? And then you want some diversity. You don't want everybody to talk alike, speak alike, dress alike, everybody be monotone, or everybody be hollering and screamers. You don't want that on your staff. You want diversity, because the players are different. Okay, one kid can be motivated by hollering and screaming at him. You holler and scream at another kid, he can shut down. So every kid's motivated and driven in different ways, and so you want your staff to have some type of diversity, so that each player can attach himself to one of those four coaches.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Coach, that's all I have for you today. Thank you, and I hope you have a great season.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Okay.
Well, I hope you have enjoyed this segment of the Brian Covington Sports Show in the morning, and also the special insider from Coach Robe Show and the UL baseball team. For all upcoming stats and events from the UL baseball team, make sure you stay tuned to the Brian Covington Morning Show, and thank you for watching.